Very warm wishes to all. I, Dr. Sarita Dalal, Assistant Professor, B.Ed Department, IIMT College of Science and Technology, Greater Noida. My today's live session topic is inclusive education. Now, these are the outlines of my topic. We will study about the concept of inclusive education, meaning, definition, objectives, principles, merits, role of teachers, major interventions for inclusive education, challenges of inclusive education, benefits, and the last conclusion about the inclusive education. So now we will discuss about the concept of inclusive education. The term inclusive is used to describe one option for the placement of special education students in public schools. Those inclusive programs are sometimes referred as maintaining, which is the selective placements of students with disabilities in regular education classroom. The idea behind the education, inclusive education, is that students with the special needs will be placed in the same classroom environment as other students their age who do not have the special needs. Children with special needs actually learn more in regular classroom environments. They provided get the help and support they need in and out of the classroom when it comes to academic subject groups, those who oppose inclusive education. Now, inclusive education means that where children with and without disabilities participate and learn together in the same classes. Provisions of inclusive education involving studies with disabilities based on the belief that those with disabilities should not have to depend on specialized services alone to benefit from educational resources, activities, and practices that other available to all. So these are the definitions of inclusive education. Inclusive education implies all young learners, young people with or without disabilities being able to learn together through access common preschool and schools with an appropriate network of support services. According to Steinbeck in 1992, inclusion facilitates integration in school systems when general and special education personnel, as well as curriculum and instructional procedures, are combined to provide educational experiences to meet the needs of the students in an integrated setup. So UNESCO says about the inclusive education in 1994, inclusion is seen as diversity of needs of all learners through increasing participation, a process of addressing and responding to the learning culture and communities and reducing exclusion within and from education. It involves changes and modifications in content, approaches, structures, and strategies with a common vision which covers all children of the appropriate age range and a conviction that it is the responsibility of the regular system to educate all children. So there are some principles of inclusive education. The first one is there is no discrimination with students. There should be no discriminations in educational institutions. The students should be equally treated regardless of social background, race, gender, religion. Children with disabilities must be able to access education without discrimination and on the basis of equality. This means the right not to be segregated and to be provided with all the support they need. All barriers must be removed: legal, physical, communication and language, social, financial, and attitudinal barriers. There is equal education opportunity to all. There should be equality of opportunity in education where everyone has fair and equal access to a good quality education, regardless of being disabled, social background, race, gender, or religion, and where people achieve success in education according to their efforts and ability, free of any form of discrimination. So, in inclusive education, the students' view are listened to and taken seriously. Children have the right to be able to express their views on all matters affecting them and to have those views taken seriously in accordance with the child's age and maturity. This doesn't mean that you must do whatever children want. However, it does mean that their feelings, concerns, and ideas should be taken into account when you are making decisions about them, especially in school. This involves both listening and taking on board what the children say. School adapt to the need of students. Inclusive education provides such learning environment that promotes all-round development of all learners together in the same educational settings. The content, the teaching process, assessment and evaluation, and the physical environment may be modified to help students to achieve success in the classroom. The kind of activities chosen by the teacher, including group activities, must be flexible. So, individual differences between students are a source of richness and diversity and not a problem. The importance of individual differences in education has been known for a long time. Adjusting the learning environment according to the individual needs of the student and preparing the curricula by considering these individual differences will help the development of individuals. It is very important for a teacher to understand the individual differences of each and every learner so that effective teaching learning takes place. A teacher should understand the various psychological, personal, social, religious, and other factors within the classroom. A teacher should decide teaching learning techniques according to the individual differences of students in the class. Develop a curriculum that suits the needs of individual differences needs. So there are some objectives of inclusive education. The first objective is there is a right to education of all. It is giving all children in the same classroom, in the same school, get real learning opportunities that have been excluded. An inclusive school aims to meet everyone's educational needs by having them supported by their peers and other members of the school community. Children with disabilities demonstrates high level of social interaction with non-disabled peers in an inclusive setting compared to segregated setting. Protection of rights. Protect the rights to education of person with disabilities and also giving the right to education of person with disabilities. The Indian Constitution guarantees equality, freedom, justice, and dignity to all individuals and mandates an inclusive society that comprises people with disabilities. Inclusive education aims to strengthen the human dignity and to remove many stereotypes from each other's mind and accept the fact that nobody is perfect. So, identification of skills. The skills in inclusive education includes following instructions given by the teacher, obeying classroom rules, and skills in problem solving and self-care. Inclusive education promotes the social value of equality. Inclusive settings leads to independent thoughts, positive competencies, and improved self-esteem. All the children are enriched by the opportunity in which they learn and care for each other and hence gain the skills and values needed for community living. Next is development of social consciousness. Social consciousness and social actions are decidedly associated with education since it is there in that both specific cognitive abilities and attitude to such reality are largely developed. Emotionally disturbed children are those that in terms of their educational and emotional makeup and behavior depart significantly and persistently from the majority of children of their age and social group, negatively influencing their adjustment to their self and social surroundings. To prepare for new challenges, to engage every student, teachers must be innovative in their instruction. Everyone's expectations for children inclusion and admiration throughout their lives is reflected in inclusive education. Every youngster may take part in their community, feel a feeling of belonging, and to be better equipped for adulthood. Children have a range of skills, and as a result, they have diverse reasons for wanting to learn in a classroom with their classmates. Development of brotherhood. Children come from a variety of origins, and while they may differ from one another in terms of their physical, mental, and even learning preferences, they still share in all the privileges. Children learn to respect both their own and other people's originality. When they cultivate tolerance, patience, and compassion for their fellow students, students raise their emotional intelligence. Merits of inclusive education. So, first is a friendly attitude. Having a friendly attitude towards inclusive education is very important as it is considered to encourage the inclusion of students with disabilities into regular classrooms. A positive or friendly attitude towards students is something that goes department and the has an effect beyond surface cheer while showing a negative attitude promotes fear. Increased social initiations, relationships, and networks. Individuals with disability often show low level of social engagement and low social affect. By embedding social interaction in inclusive education, individuals who are having a disability may be more motivated to seek out and engage with other people. Peer role models for academic, social, and behavior skills. Peer modeling is another support that can be used to help students to learn academic process and classroom routines. It also provides the classroom teacher opportunities to use peers to assist with instruction, clarifying directions, and give social reminders with little or no disruptions to the lesson cycle. Increased achievement of IEP goals. The IEP goals work as a roadmap for ensuring the unique educational needs of each special education student is met. A good IEP will clearly present levels of performance for the student. Here, IEP stands for Individual Education Program. Greater access to the general curriculum. Access to the general curriculum means providing students with disabilities, meaning Being involved in and progress in the general curriculum can be viewed as providing specific details about how the concept of access is to be achieved. Enhanced skill acquisition and generalization. Generalizing skills are an important component of any classroom that uses direct teaching as a technique. Generalization of learning is the ability to take skills or concepts learned in one context and apply them to novel problems in different contexts. Assessment can also play an important role in teaching for generalization. Student success on the acquisition and generalizations of many skills, including cognitive skills and academic skills. Cognitive skills such as memory, attention, processing, and sequencing provide a foundation that is critical for other kinds of learning, both in and out of school. So, there are some roles of the teacher in inclusive education. The interaction with parents. Parents of children in diverse classrooms are often skeptical about their classroom conduct and day-to-day activities. So, the teacher must help the parents feel comfortable. They do this by addressing their concern and keeping them updated about their child's progress. To be able to solve their problems, there are often students in an inclusive batch that require some extra support, but the need for support can vary greatly from student to student in such classrooms. To develop new learning techniques, special education teachers help craft and lessons for inclusive classrooms to ensure that the needs of students with disabilities are considered. Teachers may work together to develop a curriculum that is accessible to all students, or the special education teacher might make modifications to the general education teacher's lesson plans. To be able to develop self-confidence, a major barrier in the teaching, learning, and participation of children in classroom activities is the lack of self-esteem and self-confidence. In supporting learners, the inclusive teacher has a crucial role to play in encouraging all children's social and emotional learning. Atmosphere and dynamics in the classroom and school can be managed in order to encourage self-confidence and participation. To be able to provide special facilities, aids and appliance, assistive devices, ICT, information and communication technology, resources like such as well as transportation, escort and scribe allowance to the children with special needs as per requirement and stipend for all girls with special needs from pre-primary to 12th are specific facilities needed to be supplied in inclusive education. To be able to look after their personal needs, the teacher, the educator has to consider whether the learning environment supports their students, that is socially, emotionally, and behaviorally, length of time for instruction or information sharing, groupings, positive role models, number of transitions. Another factor is physically placements of furniture, equipment, materials, and academically infrastructural materials, assessments, as well as expectations. To be able to recognize their hidden talents, one of the most important role that an inclusion teacher plays in a diverse classroom is identifying their students properly. The teachers identify their special students' social, emotional, behavioral, physical, and academic strengths. They consult the students' parents or guardians to get more information about their needs. So, there are some major interventions for inclusive education. Creating a safe and inclusive learning environment. This involves making the campus and facilities accessible and providing reasonable accommodations for individual needs. Providing support. These includes individualized support and ensuring that students with disabilities receive education in appropriate languages and communication methods. Next is monitoring progress. This involves tracking the participation, progress, and completion of education for all students with disabilities. Providing transportation. This includes providing transportation for students with disabilities and their attendants. Training educators. This involves providing ongoing training and professional development for teachers to support students with learning disabilities. Involving parents and caregivers. This involves working with parents and caregivers to understand their child's need and how they can support learning at home. Encouraging peer support. This involves fostering inclusive classrooms and encouraging peer support to boost the self-esteem and social development of students with learning disabilities. Using positive behavior support. This involves reinforcement positive behaviors and helping students develop self-regulations and social skills. So, there are some challenges of inclusive education. The first is lack of resources. In inclusive education, it requires appropriate resources, including specialized instructional materials, cheap writing services, assistive technologies, and support personnel. Many educational institutions struggle to allocate sufficient resources to meet the diverse needs of students with disabilities. Teacher preparation and training. Educators often require specialized training and ongoing professional development to meet the needs of students with disabilities effectively. Ensuring the teachers are adequately equipped with the knowledge and skills to support diverse learners can be a significant challenge. Attitudinal barriers. The negative attitudinals and misconceptions about disabilities can create barriers to inclusion. Some individuals may hold stereotypes or bias that hinder the acceptance and integration of students with disabilities into mainstream classrooms. Social stigma and peer acceptance. Students with disabilities may face social stigma and encounter challenges in being fully accepted by their peers. Social isolations can adversely impact their educational experience and emotional well-being. So, there are some benefits also of inclusive education. Academic achievement. Inclusive education provides students with disabilities access to the same curriculum and educational opportunities as their peers. When appropriate support and accommodations are in place, students with disabilities have the potential to achieve academic success and reach their full potential. Social interaction and relationships. Inclusive education fosters social interaction and the development of meaningful relationship among students and without and with disabilities. Students learn from one another, develop empathy, and gain a deeper appreciation for diversity. Friendships formed in inclusive setting often extend beyond the classroom, promoting social inclusion and reducing isolation. Self-advocacy and empowerment. Inclusive education encourages students with disabilities to become self-advocates, empowering them to express their needs, get goals, and advocate for their rights. This skill is vital for their lifelong journey of navigating educational, professional, and personal context. Increased access to support services. Inclusive education can facilitate improved access to support services within the regular classroom settings. Students with disabilities can receive specialized support from teachers, learning support staff, and related services providers while remaining part of the inclusive classroom community. It preparing for the real world. Inclusive education prepares students for the realities of the diverse society they will encounter as adults. By being exposed to different abilities and learning styles, students develop acceptance, tolerance, and a deeper understanding of the world around them. So the last of this session, a conclusion about the inclusive education. Inclusive education is a means of creating effective classroom where the educational needs for all children, including children with disabilities, are addressed. It provides the opportunities for the children from different backgrounds to learn in a safe environment. It plays a paramount role in enabling disabled persons to live successful lives. It is not only necessary to support children in their academic activities, but it is also necessary to help them in their day-to-day activities, and it will also prepare them to face challenges and barriers that the real world has to activities, and it will also prepare them to face challenges and barriers that the real world has to offer. Education provides the opportunities for the children to promote and carry on the knowledge that have been taught throughout their lives and try to impart positive change in the world. Educating the children will help them in improving their behavior, attitude, and will also teach them how to interact with different groups of people coming from different backgrounds. Education also plays a vital role in these children's life as they can use the knowledge that have attained and apply it in different situations they would come across outside the school setting. Hence, inclusive education plays an important role as it will enhance a child's ability to learn, and it will also encourage the child to pass on the knowledge and he or she has acquired. Thank you so much.